Greetings, sir and sirettes, and welcome back to From the Depths with me, Lathrix, and of course, welcome to the corrupt version of the Titan we captured in the previous video. So this is the Bloodhound, the working title for our newest vehicle, which honestly may be our strongest vehicle to date, with the strongest laser of any of my vehicles, and now using dual particle cannons, both hitting for a whopping 400,000 damage. This really punishes incredibly expensive designs, whilst being a little bit vulnerable to incredibly agile swarmy designs. We have sadly had to lose the missile pods on the back, but we have replaced them with some oversized EMP missiles, which certainly get the job done. This is all about crushing the mainframe and any vulnerable parts of the enemy. Not so good for overall damage, but very targeted and very, very effective, killing the Titan in every single test battle I've set it up against. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and finish off the base, which currently is nowhere near finished, and then I will be right back, or at least with a few updates. So just before we go ahead and go to the base, a few other changes I should mention is that now we've added a lot of smoke dispensers and a lot more armor, and of course added a lovely little jaw because I just couldn't help myself, and the corn logo. It's a little bit tacky, it's a little bit oversized, but I absolutely adore it. Now, as I just mentioned, we have removed the missile pods, and this is because with all of the new systems, with the increased size of the laser has been increased by about 50%, at least in terms of damage from the original design. It really needed some more engines, and it needed some power storage for the particle cannons, so we just didn't have enough space for absolutely everything. And although the missile pods were really cool, and by the way, one of the most complex spin block sections I've ever seen in a campaign vehicle, truly they were amazing, they were also a bit of a vulnerability. I did notice the Titan getting destroyed a lot of the times because it was being hit in the back, and then because everything here is all on hinges, it just sort of falling apart. So I am really happy with the conversion, and I just have to say, whoever made the original Titan is a really good builder. That thing is ridiculously complex. Probably the longest I've ever spent on a retrofit, purely because of how complex the original design is and how good it was. It was difficult to find anything I really wanted to change, but of course, I did want to change as much as possible, so I feel like it's at least my design now I've changed so much of it. So, onwards. Okay, the basics have now been added, so we have hydrofoils, keeping it at around about -11, although I think I will probably go a little bit lower than that in the future, and then we have propellers keeping it nice and stable, in addition to some internal rotor blades, which are just there as a bit of a backup, so hopefully this should stay stable even at fairly low health. And just to make sure everything still works, yep, it's still fully functioning. And that particle cannon just ripped that poor thing apart. Okay, I think it's finally just about done. Ignore the fact it's sort of sinking right now. That's because I was working on it. Okay, this should actually get it moving, and it should quickly rise up, which it is. The guns are now working again. I did accidentally mess up the shells a moment ago. The pitch is a little bit off, but that will happen when it's rapidly changing altitude, but it should stabilize. Excellent. I've also now added a full shield set to the base, which is fully strength 9, but only active during combat. That's why the engines have now gone down, and the power will now transfer from the base to the torso as the battle continues. The torso has now been enhanced a little bit with a bit more detection system, a little bit more laser defense, and I even found some places to add a bit more armor because I'm a rather tanky individual. So with that, let's finally get into the campaign, kill some Twin Guard, and maybe, just maybe, move on to the Scarlet Dawn. Oh, sweet Titan, you are about to join the Lathrixian Legion correctly. We have so much stuff we're currently repairing. We have 2 Skull Takers, the new Bloodhound, and of course things like the Plague Guard, which were damaged last time, and the 2 Changebringers, which were destroyed. So right now we're just sort of sitting here, allowing ourselves to gather resources and repair ourselves. I'm really hoping we're going to be fast enough to go ahead and attack the enemy base before it spawns in one more attack force. Here we are, the Bloodhound has now spawned in with all of its new equipment, and hopefully this is going to prove itself quite effective against the remainders of the Twin Guard. It will be a testament to the power attained if you simply join the Legion. Now I will say, the Khorne logo, a little bit excessive. Does it look a little bit silly? Yes. But my god, do I absolutely adore it. If we're going to be cheesy and Khorne related, we may as well go all out and have a smoking jaw with a giant Khorne logo. I mean, it's just the right thing to do. So the one thing I still need to do in the future is add some form of weaponry to the base, because right now it's just a bundle of smoke dispensers, heavy armor, and heavy shielding. And that's pretty much it. It's just not going to die easily, so the torso can remain alive, and of course it can heal the torso like all of the Twin Guard mechs. So it should be effective. The weaponry is stronger than the old version, the shields are better, everything's more defensive. Let's see how much power can be gained by joining the Legion. Now sadly this thing does cost a good 55,000 more than the original Titan, but I'm not too sure if that's 100% true because I don't have the base of the original Titan. I'm just going off estimates with the torso. So then, once it gets to the front of our battle lines, let's draw out the enemy and have our first battle of the day. The enemy base is incredibly close to spawning in one more fleet, so let's hurry up, move the Seekers in, and hopefully draw them out a little bit. Hello. Well, that's not what I wanted to see. There's a second fleet getting towards us, so what we need to do then is really quickly fight this one, so we're not fighting both at the same time. Bloodhound, go ahead and help us. Skulltaker, you're joining in as well. Have fun, same with you. 2 Plague Guards, and we have the Seekers. We'll see how much volume this is. We might have to tone down a little bit just to prevent lag and, you know, have a somewhat balanced battle. So against us, we have the Annihilation, the Titan, the... Where are you? There we are. The Juggernaut and the Juggernaut. Okay. Wow, it's almost a mirror match. Titan, Juggernaut versus Skulltaker, which of course were originally the Juggernauts, and the Bloodhound. That's actually awesome. And, because they have so much volume, we can probably spawn in the 2 Plague Bearers, well, sorry, the 2 Plague Guard. I keep calling them Plague Bearers today. The 2 Plague Guard without too much issue in terms of oversized battles. So actually, let's remove the Seekers. And, yeah, that's pretty close. Maybe 1 less Plague Guard. I said 1 less Plague Guard. Is that you? Oh, yeah, since they're a fleet, I have to spawn them both in together. Maybe 1 less Skulltaker. Okay, that seems reasonable. Although now it's not a complete mirror match, which would have been completely awesome, it's still fairly balanced. 2 Plague Guard, 1 Bloodhound, 1 Skulltaker versus the enemy there. I'm surprised the enemy don't have more volume points. The Annihilation is pretty big. But I suppose... Oh, wait, does the Titan count both halves of it? And does it do it for us? No, it doesn't. Okay, then, in that case, just begin the battle. It should be fun enough and hopefully not quite as laggy as the usual. I can't remember what the Annihilation actually is. Okay, I'm going to be happily sitting on one of the Plague Guard, definitely the most protective of all of our designs. And for some reason, the Skulltaker has spawned in the water. I should have paid more attention. Although that's not going to turn off the Skulltaker, it means... Yeah, that's going to be way weaker than it otherwise would be, and that's my fault for not paying attention in the campaign mode. Even though it counts as an air unit, the default height for some reason is really low. So I'm thinking what we should do is focus on the Titan. The Annihilation is you. Nasty lasers, by the looks of things, and you are spawning in other vehicles. Still, I think we should go for the Titan's base. Oh, the laser is crushing the bottom of the base. Fantastic. Is everyone in combat mode? Just one last check. Naturally. Cram cannons and anti-missiles doing their job from the Plague Guard, which is always really good. Although at least one of the enemies are using smoke, the laser from the Skull Taker is being heavily nerfed. A lot of damage has been done to the Titan's base, although it isn't quite out yet. Incoming the EMP missiles, along with the frag missiles from the Bloodhound. Laser still destroying a lot with the base. Oh, it's almost carved all the way through, actually, at this point. Not a bad start. Incoming cram cannons once again from the Plague Guard. Doing quite a bit, actually. One of them got deflected at the last second, but the rest did quite a bit of work. The Skull Taker is quite heavily damaged, but considering it spawned in the water, that's not really too surprising. I haven't seen the particle cannon from the Bloodhound after the start of the battle. There it is, just to prove me wrong, going all the way through the enemy there. It is very hard to see what's going on with the particle cannon, but either way, it just did a lot of damage there. That Plague Guard is absorbing so much of that laser damage, thankfully. Half it's, well, it looks like it's actually finally carved through the smoke, as those lasers are no longer shrunk. And there it goes, with the base down. It really means that the Titan now is going to just simply fall into the water. It's definitely a lot more vulnerable than it was a moment ago. So now I think we should focus on the annihilation before it spawns any more of these little vehicles. The Titan itself will sink and die. If we had the Seekers in the battle, we could have tried to capture the base, but honestly, the base I've made, I'm very happy with, so I don't really need it for anything outside of just pure money. Yep, laser is doing its job great. Instantly destroyed the first thing it was targeting. It's now already through the first few layers of armor, and is doing some serious damage to the annihilation. Still lagging so much, though. The joy of larger battles. Definitely more fun to watch, but you do have to put up with a fair bit of frame loss in this type of game, especially when vehicles on both sides are so complex and there's so many physics happening at one point. It can be a little bit insane. Oh, please say those are EMP. If they are, that's going to be so fun to watch. No, it looks like those might be the frag missiles. Yep, definitely the frag missiles. Still doing a lot of damage, though. Wow, that really crushed some of that armor. Both of the Plague Guards are still up, surprisingly. Considering they are being focused on, I'm still really happy with how tanky the Plague Guard actually are. Oh, although I just got hit inside of one of the Plague Guards, so perhaps I was prizing it a little bit too much there. On the upside, that I was about to call it the Skull Taker. The enemy Juggernaut is now quite badly hurt and is getting so close to the Plague Guard. Their cram cannons and their little cannons are going to be far more effective. Do not underestimate the power of those simple cannons. Oh, so there is an AI dead opponent. I'm really hoping that's the annihilation. Really wishing that we brought a Seeker in or two from this battle. Could have captured the annihilation. Probably would never have used it. We still have the Abyss, which we need to capture. We need to convert. At this point, capturing other vehicles isn't a primary concern, although, of course, I will be trying more in the future, especially now I have the capturing version of the nuke and stuff like that, which is all ready to go. Okay, stop focusing on the torso of this guy. You're doing almost no damage. Hello, Liza. Oh, look at that, damn. And the particle cannon just about missing, but doing quite a bit of internal damage as well. It's really weird, because when you test out the particle cannons and you can see the effects, because that's all you're firing, you can be amazed by how much just utter devastation they can bring. But then, in the rather insane area of a proper battle, you can hardly tell they're even doing anything, because they're so less visual than the other weapons, even with the recent upgrade to their looks, which, by the way, does make them look significantly better. One more AI dead, and this is because, mostly, of the particle cannon and the laser usage of the Blood Guard, the Bloodhound. My god, I am mixing up everyone at this point. What is going on here? Time and the place, guys. There's a time and a place for everything. Not here. The base is AI dead, but being repaired by everything else. Is that an upside down juggernaut? How in the hell did this happen? Laser, stop firing at the thing underwater. Fire at the base instead. Thank you. You know what? I'm going to go for those, because right now they're just sitting there, healing each other, almost all of them being AI dead. Why am I just leaving them alone? Oh, so that's why the Plague Guard was doing so well. The Skull Taker that instantly fell was actually healing the Plague Guard after about halfway through this match. That's kind of awesome. It seems like the enemies have just been left to drown. Multiple of them are now going on health below 80%, so I probably won't even reach this last one. There we go, only 10 seconds left. Yeah, the chance of me reaching that is fairly low. So, lesson learned. When you have a battle using the Bloodhound, make sure to bring Seekers, so you can jump onto the enemy vehicles as they get killed, because almost all of the weapons on the Bloodhound will destroy AI. A piercing particle cannon, a laser, and EMP missiles. Yeah, it really doesn't like the enemy having a brain. Is there an enemy left? Oh look, a little flyer. Bloodhound, would you mind killing that thing? Would be nice if you could. That enemy is actually dodging our detection system. No it's not. No, it's certainly not. Yeah, that laser is fairly brutal when it actually hits the target, and there it goes. Thanks, Bloodhound. Still not quite as powerful as the Medrin Guard, but certainly a very fun vehicle to use. And onwards, well actually no, not onwards just yet. Need to protect against that, then the enemy will probably spawn in one more force, then we can take out that fortress, then we can move on. Seekers, you are definitely in the next battle rather than having both of the Plague Guard. So let's first of all repair everything. Where are you? Plague Guard, could you please separate into 2 fleets? There we go. That's why I like having everything separate, far more control. Next battle, this time bringing in the Skull Taker at the correct altitude. I really wish there was an easier way to set that for every battle, but I do understand there is a lot of variance with this. We have the Hydra Seekers, of course, and then we have the Bloodhound. Against us, we have the Titan, the tiny little Havoc, and the tiny little Pixie. Certainly giving us the advantage here, but honestly, I really want this battle over as fast as possible so that we can rush against the enemy base, hopefully take it, and then figure out if they've got a final base, which I'm going to assume is here. Now, one problem I do have is using the Seekers is opening us up to accidentally spawning in the enemy base. If that happens, we have to run over there as soon as possible and probably take some damage to our larger vehicles, because capturing that is our #1 goal. We do not want it to simply be destroyed. And so the battle begins, and I've specifically chosen one of the Seekers, which should be dive bombing directly at the Titan. I do love the Seekers, they're such a basic design, but I do adore them. Okay, let's jump off here, and let's see if we can land on the base of the Titan, which apparently we can't, but at least we're nice and close. Hopefully the particle cannon and stuff can do their job incredibly well, even though I just saw one of the Skull Takers, which has been removed from the base. Yeah, the Skull Taker's base is not as good as I would like it, mostly because it's just a vulnerable base design anyway, and I couldn't really do much to it without absolutely revamping it, which I didn't really have the time to do. So I'm thinking of making a smaller version of the Bloodhound, an actual waterbound vessel, which will then replace the Skull Taker's version, although I do see myself using the Skull Taker less and less now that we do have the Bloodhound. Okay, we're on board. Hopefully we will AI kill this just with the weapons. Wow, look at the blocks on the Titan just melt away with that laser. That's the Hydra, right? Okay, I was wondering what that actually was for a second, gotta be honest. I was just about to say, those missiles seem to be getting a little bit close. Oh, now your AI dead. Well, thankfully, we're spawning in very close. We actually captured the Titan! Okay, by the looks of it, we're not going to capture the base again, but we did indeed capture the Titan itself, so we have another Bloodhound to be converted. We could easily have two of them, since, of course, the base is a Titan, so most of the cost has already been covered. When I was doing testing, after 20 battles, the Titan won 0 versus the Bloodhound, so this wasn't exactly a surprising fight. But yeah, I need to change the Skull Taker's base, as we've seen in the last two fights. In the previous video, it actually did quite well. It's just, it's vulnerable to certain weapons. These include EMP and lasers, and of course, this lovely Titan had lasers, so it just cut off its ability to hold the Skull Taker instantly, then the base just floated away. Not really the best, all things considered. I could just sell this. But I think having two Bloodhounds would be better than just one. In fact, what we can do is destroy the two Skull Takers as a sacrifice, and then build up this into a new Bloodhound. That should cover the cost, 150,000 each for the Skull Takers? Yeah, definitely covers the cost. So, back in a second, going to be removing this lovely Titan here, and then replacing it with a new Bloodhound. The corruption continues to spread. Now, don't worry, once we've built a brand new base for the Juggernaut, also known as the Skull Taker now, I will be bringing it back into the campaign. It's just right now, I don't like the hover base it has. It's certainly very cool, it does enable it to fight on land, it's just such a vulnerability, and I didn't want to change the size of it, I didn't want to add too much to it when I did the conversion work, since we had already changed the torso so much. It just... The torso is significantly better than the base after the conversion, and it doesn't really work all that well. Though now we have two Bloodhounds, that's going to be just fine. So now, where is our little nuke? You are the nuke, yes indeed, you are the one without the actual nuke attached. So let's go ahead, we'll bring in two Bloodhounds and the test nuke, and then we'll go ahead and take this base. Now you should really be moving over here. Okay, so a little bit of warning here. Every time I've started this battle, it's ended up either crashing the game or causing so much lag, it's actually unbelievable. It seems like the next enemy fortress is trying to spawn something in, and it's getting stuck on the actual building itself, causing just utter problems. So if the bit of footage from here on out is a little bit segmented, that's why. I'm going to try and stick it out this time, even if we do go down to 2 frames per second, so expect just little recaps with the game paused. I do apologise. After 3 or 4 attempts of restarting, I don't want to keep on doing this. I would rather just try and capture it. So, I'll be right back. In the battle itself, we will be sending in 2 Bloodhounds and, of course, our capturing vehicle. Well, here we are in the battle. Now, I have read up and asked a few friends about fighting this particular boss, and it seems like a lot of people are getting the issue, but not everyone. So, like a lot of early access games, your mileage can vary, but there is something going on. Apparently, with some of the vehicles, it spawns behind itself, getting stuck, or something can happen, and occasionally, if you capture it, you can't save the game afterwards. Yeah, 2 out of 5 people I asked actually said that, so I'm really hoping that won't happen to us, but let's find out. I will, of course, still be trying to capture it, even with that bit of warning out of the way. So, let's go. We are, of course, in our little test nuke up here. Hello. The lag isn't as bad as last time. It's still pretty darn terrible, but it isn't as bad. I will still be skipping ahead as soon as we reach the target, because I don't think anyone really wants to see this. It seems like both of the Bloodhounds are going for the same spot, and extreme lag. What on earth are you? Hello? Okay. Pause time for a second, please. May I ask what that is that just spawned in out of nowhere? A phoenix? What? Is that the enemy fleet? Did it just spawn in a fleet after combat started? That didn't happen last time when the game crashed. I must have been waiting around too long explaining... Oh, that's just gonna be awful. Okay, yeah, this is gonna break everything, isn't it? Let's just find somewhere safe on the main vehicle, and then... I don't even know. So a lot of enemies now fighting us. Okay, there we are. We are now back on the enemy main base, and something is AI dead. Not sure what, though. Just something. Don't really want to risk myself too much, so I'm not actually going to go for it. It's clearly not the main vehicle, so I don't really care too much. The lag, however, has pretty much gone away, which is pretty darn nice, I have to say. Seems like... Oh! We captured one of the enemy turrets. Did we just capture the main vehicle? Apparently I'm capturing everything small. Are these actually separate vehicles? I thought these were proper turrets. Surely these are proper turrets, aren't they? Are they? It's really hard to tell. Do we have the main vehicle? No, we don't. It's like we've just took over its defense system. Can you please focus on the big guy? No, not that. The big guy. Okay, I have no idea what's going on here, I've got to be honest. I'm just going to, No, we do have the... Yeah, okay, yeah, we did capture this. It's just the paint scheme's not updating. There we go. Okay. So now take out the Phoenix, please. Seems like you are. You're just firing underneath the hull, which is fine. We haven't captured these two turrets, which are actually being held in place, which is weird, since the last time I did that, that wasn't the case. Perhaps these are... Are they perhaps not vehicles, but are instead... installations? It's very hard to tell what's going on right now. I've got to be honest, I am very confused. This whole battle was just confusion. Are you trying to fire at something that's like inside? Oh, did I just capture? It's spreading like a virus. We are the plague, after all, I suppose. It's really hard to tell who's who at this point since the updates so slowly. Okay, the Phoenix just died. Must have died from some of the EMP missiles, and then I didn't notice it was AI dead, and of course we are ignoring salvage, so even if I order to attack that thing, if it's dead, it's dead. Still spawning in more things. This was such a messy battle, I do apologize. Also, I can't let go of these weapons for some reason, even though I am on the non-selection. Yeah, this is... odd. Very... very odd. Who's healing you, then? The orb is still on the enemy team? How? Excuse me, can I guess you get out from it? Well, that was a bit of a death trap, wasn't it? Welcome to the episode in which Lathrix is always confused. I just captured you. Okay, welcome to my team, I suppose. How about the orb? Do you want to be on my side? The battle's... okay, yep, you're on my side. Okay. Okay, so, what people have told me is the pull all button might not work. If it doesn't work, we can't save. Okay, it worked for us. Apparently, sometimes the drones weirdly freak out. That was such a mess. Thankfully, the Phoenix isn't particularly powerful, so we kind of got out of that without too much issue. I'm going to save the game now about 1,000,000 times in 1,000,000 different formats, and then make a backup before we spawn everything in. Yeah. I have no idea what just happened. Okay, so this is 30 minutes later, after doing a bit of sandbox testing and testing out with the vehicle itself, well, the fortress itself, in the campaign, and I've got to say, first of all, I love this thing. It looks amazing, but it was definitely the cause of all the problems. After testing it out in the sandbox mode twice, I got the issue in which I couldn't save the game, or at least I wouldn't have been able to if we were in the campaign, with some of the drones permanently being spawned and not being allowed to be despawned under any circumstance. I don't know if that's a general glitch in the game or just for this vehicle, I can't say. But the lag is definitely coming from how it spawns the vehicles. Sometimes it lets them go a little bit too early, like with this one, and as you can see, it then just glitches out and goes into the armor of the main vehicle, the main structure, and stuff like that. So it's a really good design. It just really, really lags out. And once again, I'm on a pretty good computer. I also tested out loading in the old save file to see if the spawning in of the fleet had anything to do with it. So what I did was I changed the difficulty so that rather than getting 2 times reinforcement speed, we had it on the lowest setting. I can't remember what the lowest setting is, so it definitely didn't allow the fleet to spawn, and it still crashed my game twice out of like 3 or 4 tests. So, yeah, I think it could just be me. Once again, your mileage may vary. I've got a good computer, but something here is just destroying it. So, though, with that negativity out of the way, still an amazing design. It could have been the recent Mega update. I don't know. Let's go off, and let's say hello to the last few enemies. If we have time. It's been a bit of a time-consuming episode so far. Okay, I've just looked at the time. I have been recording for about 6 hours now, and I only had 4 hours, so you can tell something's gone a bit wrong there. So thank you so much for watching. I really am all out of time right now, but I promise in the next video, which will be significantly sooner than between the last episode and this one, we will be quickly taking out the rest of the Twin Guard, and then moving on to at least a couple of battles with the Scarlet Dawn. I promise I will try my best to make the battles a bit less laggy. I know this episode may have been not the best ever, even after editing. I don't know how much I can actually salvage, and it has been a bit of fun still. Wish it was a bit smoother. I can only apologise. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed the video, then of course, likes, favourites, shares, comments, all that good stuff helps out me, helps out the channel, and most importantly, shows that From the Depths is a series you wish to see continued in the future. Next time, things will be better. Still, the Bloodhounds definitely did their job really, really well. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.